Well, welcome back to another episode of Ask Pastor Keith. If you joined us last time, we started a discussion on CRT, and we have Pastor Keith here again. And Pastor Keith, if you can take just a few moments to kind of recap with us what you shared with us last time.
Sure. Um, since CRT, critical race theory, is a new concept for most of us, even though it's been around about 3 decades, and I have to go back to expert on that is Gloria Lassen Billings, a professor emeritus of the University of Wisconsin, who taught this for 28 years or so. Um, According to her interview with the PBS, and she said she will never teach this CRT to K through 12 and even undergrad because it's a theory, and she will consider teaching only in graduate level, which I wholeheartedly agree. I don't agree with the content, but her approach. And I think the CRT, I think last time I kind of explained the name. I think the name is very appropriate because a critical meaning is exaggerated or isolated, meaning in a social event, there are so many variables, and these variables move all at the same time. In order us to see the effect, the impact of one element, we need to hold others constant. That's why it's critical. It's isolated. So there's education level, there's an addiction level, family structure, and religion part, and there are all other economy and socioeconomic level, and all that. Laying aside, they just isolated race, and through it they look at everything else, including addiction level, incarceration, and the wealth distribution, and all that kind of things. So it's critical in that way. And of course, race is the lens through which they see. And the theory is not reality. In other words, there's no data points to back up these things, right? There's a theory. So because of that, teaching it to little ones who has not really developed as a person or do not have an understanding of how the world operates, worldview hasn't been constructed, and introducing it to them will cause a lot of distorted understanding of the world. They don't have the understanding of a graduate level study students or whatnot. And because of that, I wholeheartedly agree with Professor Gloria Lassen Billings. I think it's a very wise call. No wonder she was head of the education department before she retired. And so in that way, I think what it does to little ones, the impact to the little ones is that it shifts the blame from individual responsibility to the system or someone else. By doing so, it creates powerlessness to an individual, the frustration and hopelessness, which in a developmental stage of a personhood is detrimental for that person to succeed in the world, whether it be race or the wealth, the socioeconomic ladder, or education, or whatever else they come from. They see themselves as a victim and unable to overcome because system is against them. If they believe in that, they cannot overcome anything. And that is an antithesis to our faith. We overcome challenges by the provision of God, by the power of God. But if you instill that victim mentality, that they cannot do anything about it, and that it becomes very dangerous formula for the whole generation. That's why I'm against it. And I think that's why the parents are against it. Now, I'm a little bit concerned, actually more than a little bit concerned about President Biden speaking about parents speaking out in school board, and he's talking to DOJ of calling them as a domestic terrorist, which is really alarming event. But I'm not talking about event, but their assumption behind it. That's alarming. That is a completely socialistic understanding. That means children belong to the state, not to the parents. They have all the rights to indoctrinate them, and the parents cannot say anything about what can be taught and not be taught. That's a very, very dangerous mindset and assumption. And he, as a president of the United States, to say that kind of thing and going down that road, it is very, very alarming for me. So I think parents, how do we teach our children? First of all, they should speak out in the school board and saying, these are our children, and you are our servants, public servants, and you better reflect our value system. And if anybody says anything otherwise, then actually they have to talk about the children belong to parents first, not to the state. It's not communist country here. And the same way, taxation and all that is same thing, same assumption. No matter how hard you work and accumulate wealth, that wealth belongs to the state. And I can tax you and to fill my spending habit, whatever, the policies. That is a dangerous assumption that we have. And I'm concerned that these things are happening. So first of all, as a parents, we should teach, the parents should speak out, number one, and the school board and all that, and have a part in that. And number two, children instill personal responsibility and that we can overcome whatever challenges that we have. And that hope is very important, and the faith, therefore. So as Christians, as a pastor, I'm more concerned about that aspect than all other aspects. And I don't, it doesn't really matter whether you're black or white or Asian or Hispanic, whatever background you have, we all have our struggles. And when we take personal responsibility and hold on to God, as God intervenes in our lives, things change. Another assumption is very wrong. That is, people are not wooden blocks that you put them there and they're going to stay there. They always not think about something else. There's sinful dynamics there. We need to recognize that. And therefore, we work one at a time. People have to change. Even if we have a perfect system and law and order, there are going to be people who's going to shortcut it, and they're going to cheat, and they're going to break the law and all that. It's people have to change, basically. And I think shifting it from personal responsibility and emotional discipline to a system, the fault of the system or policies. Yes, we need to work on those things. There's accumulation, there's a culmination of our change, transformation, values will be reflected in there. But thinking that if we change that, everything else will be okay, even if we are irresponsible and whatever else, that is false narratives. And I think we need to change that, right? So that's the challenge I think we need to address as parents.
Yeah, we could definitely see that it's a very big conversation and one that requires a lot of wisdom. And Pastor Keith, we just want to thank you so much for the wisdom that you shared with us, especially to the parents. We hope that this short series on CRT was helpful to you. And please continue to join us for more words of wisdom from Pastor Keith. But thank you for tuning in today.